You cannot just work from your floor or something like this. You need to have a fixed understanding of a certain room where this carrier is installed. Once the carrier is installed, we call that servicing. It starts to service a particular layout, a particular room. If you're in the business of changing rooms or even want to have the flexibility of moving rooms around according to tenant requirements, according to new requirements, then this level is not sufficient anymore. Yeah. Any questions so far? Yes.
Flexibility is something that all clients ask for, but flexibility comes at a cost.
Yes.
And as we heard in the previous talks, big pharma companies are now contracting more and more out to spin-offs and small-scale companies. The level of flexibility you just showed just now, maybe a pharma company could afford in the past, but I suspect a lot of these smaller companies are not going to risk that much capital just for the sake of additional flexibility. So it's somehow trying to pitch your base scheme at a right level that allows the commercial elements of the company to work as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Science.
Absolutely.
And I'm not sure if you've got a halfway house between what you showed us.
Yes. Well, I expected the question, obviously. This is a question we come across all the time, yeah, because it obviously, the concept is sound, it looks very good. I'm not talking about Waldner product here. This is something most manufacturers can do. Yeah. All sound manufacturers have systems like this. But can I maybe postpone the answer to the cost question a little bit, because there is a separate slide, obviously, because it is important to talk about that. And that's why I said in the beginning, when we talk about providing flexibility, we try to establish the requirement as well, but not so much because of the cost consideration, because we believe that you can provide flexibility. Even the next level we are going to talk about in a minute, at costs that are comparable to a conventional solution. Yeah. Whether you believe that or not is entirely up to you, but there's a whole industry working on figures at the moment and trying to establish what is going on. But in the meantime, I think, and I'm coming to that when we come to that slide, we believe that it is possible to bring in flexibility at comparable cost to a conventional solution. So can we defer the answer a little bit? Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? If this level, if the room layout then is not even enough to restrict, we come to the third level of flexibility, which is a ceiling-based system. Now what you see here is, again, following the philosophy of separating services and furniture to the nth degree. The entire laboratory infrastructure is now in the ceiling. You have supply air, extract air, lighting. Everything is in a suspended ceiling grid. There are different versions, and I'm coming to that, in the market. Even the storage units are suspended. Shelving, cupboards. And the benches, be it mobile or semi-fixed, H-frames or C-frames, are just underneath and can be readily removed. Yeah. Now this is the ideal scenario, for instance, for a lab hotel, for an incubator, because you start with a fixed set of services. At some point you need to decide what the basic arrangement is, and anything else follows, including partitioning walls. So we are not, you can think in terms of the entire building floor. You leave it blank. And when you have identified, for instance, a tenant taking up 50% of the floor space, you start putting in the partitioning walls, connecting the services, bringing down the services by means of service columns, and lay it out according to their particular requirements. The advantages obviously are complete flexibility. The entire infrastructure is in an open ceiling system. Again, if a gas is needed that is not there in the beginning, you can add this gas at initial capital cost. If you refurbish a lab, usually the costs are 3 to 4 times as high as you do it initially. Yeah, and this is a problem. With systems like this, you don't incur these additional costs. No matter when you put a gas line on day 1, in 5 years' time or in 10 years' time, it's always the same cost. There's a cost, obviously, but it's not different to the initial upfront cost. It's very important. A complete range of mobile units, again, is available. Mobile benches, mobile sinks, mobile fume cupboards. You wheel the equipment in, you wheel the equipment out. It's very easily done. A fume cupboard, for instance, takes 30 minutes to disassemble, disconnect, take it somewhere else, and connect it again to the extract system that is placed in the ceiling. There are limitations to everything, and the limitations to this system can be described. It doesn't work when the philosophy of the building is already decided in a different way. It has to be accounted for as something that somebody wants to do when they decide to think about their building. How are we going to service the building? What are we going to do? What kind of degree of flexibility do we want to provide? Once the design is done in a different way, in a more conventional way, it's very difficult to rearrange everything to accommodate a system like this. What I mean is, for instance, the location of service shafts. If somebody goes for something like this, the location of service shafts is very important to make it work. Yeah. Any questions? Third level of flexibility? Yes, please.
Just general, like, if you're constantly changing around the lab and stuff, if you're using bits and you're not using bits, and you have to have quite a lot of storage space.
Yes, very good question. Yeah. The idea is you have a partner, you have a facility manager who takes care for that. Right. Yeah. Takes away the elements you don't need anymore, brings the elements you need at that particular point in time. So the building owner, the manager, or the user, they don't have to account for that.
They have to partner up.
That's right. They have a facility manager, let's call the party facility manager, who can be called and do the reconfiguration on their behalf, according to their requirements. Yeah. And the cost is known. If it is managed well, any cost of changes is known in the beginning. Yeah. So, for instance, to bring in a new fume cupboard, because there may be a requirement, every person on this value chain knows how much it will cost to bring in a new fume cupboard. Yeah. And then the decision is fairly easy. Yeah.